Hello, everyone. I'm Max, that is Spec Guide. I'm joined by Kyle today. Hello.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, loving having you on. And we get a ton of feedback from Twitter on our email, which is in the description, by the way, from people who are writing in asking us about buying advice. So we've done a lot of videos recently about public charging, some how-tos, but I think these buying advice videos are going to be another great format for us to explore. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, the point of the guide channel is to help people make their electric car purchases, whether it's your first electric car or your fifth. Max, you and I, we test cars. Everyone on our team tests cars. We have a lot of experience. So rather than going into full reviews and having you dig through all of our footage, we'll take our impressions from our work out in the field testing cars and sort of help you make a buying decision with our knowledge.
Precisely. So today we're going to talk about this tweet that came in from Kevin Tim. So he's a viewer in Colorado, and he has an interesting situation. So he owns an Audi e-tron and an LX 570, which is kind of like a Lexus Land Cruiser, as I understand it.
Right, the LX 570 is the Lexus version of the Land Cruiser. So, big three-row SUV meant for off-roading, unbelievable reliability, just go out in the middle of nowhere and get lost.
Awesome Colorado vehicle. Don't blame him for having one. But he's thinking, should he replace it? So he says both Rivians on order. So Rivian makes two vehicles so far, R1T, your beloved, truck, and then R1S, which is the SUV, which we've also tested. So he's asking, is it worth going to the Rivian, or should he just enjoy the e-tron and I guess, keep living with the gas Land Cruiser?
Yeah, and that's what we wanted to talk about. I mean, living here in Colorado, it's really important that you have an all-wheel drive, capable, snow-capable vehicle. Ultimately, his e-tron is probably the daily driver. That's going to be going to the shops, comfortable car. We own one as well, and it is perfect for around town. But the e-tron really starts to fall apart, at least the current one, before the Q8 comes out, when you need to do long distance because the range is very poor, especially in the winter time. Its charging is very good. However, you're relying on poor public charging experiences to fuel that vehicle. And so then it becomes down to, okay, if you're replacing the LX, that new vehicle, that new electric vehicle is going to have comparable range, which is just not possible at the time, but it's going to need big range. It's going to need big sort of soft roading capable, I would say. A lot of our trails here in Colorado, we have pretty much two types. We have scenic trails. The Switzerland Trail comes to mind. Pretty much any all-wheel drive crossover can complete that. It's a great way to get out into nature, and that's probably half the trails that we have, and that's what most people enjoy doing. And then you have hardcore off-roading trails. These are the guys who go to Ouray, who go out to Moab and lifting big wheels. Really, that's probably not what he's doing. An LX is not a really good wheeling vehicle. It's a great get out into nature and go find some things. And so, what we wanted to do is we compiled a list of every air suspension, liftable all-wheel drive electric SUV with a lot of range to maybe walk through these options and how it would work in this use case, replacing an adventure vehicle here in Colorado. And before we start getting into these, Max, electric really isn't perfect for adventuring. It works
No.
pretty well, but you're always thinking, oh, do I have enough range to get back? Now, thankfully in Colorado, back is usually downhill. So even if you look down, you're like, oh crap, I got 25% charge. Usually back to the front range or back on the western slope is down from the mountain and you can regen on the way down. But yeah, that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, there's the Rivian Adventure Network and some efforts to kind of make, let's just call it off-grid adventuring easier with an EV, but that's still incomplete. But what we've done is we've compiled a list of what we think are going to be some good options for Kevin and anyone else in a similar situation. But so first and most obviously, I think, especially for any kind of off-roading adventuring context, is just the Rivian R1S. He mentioned it himself. So R1S, what are the big highlights here, Kyle, in terms of pros and cons of this as an option for replacing that Land Cruiser?
Yeah, so he mentioned he has both the S and the T on order. And because he already has an e-tron, I actually think the R1T would be the better choice. At the end of the day, they're both on the same platform. The R1S is a little bit shorter, maybe better for the hardcore trail driving, but the R1T, bit more utility. You got the bed in the back, more towing capacity with R1T as well. To me, the R1T is the perfect Colorado vehicle. Pretty much anyone who lives in Colorado needs one of these in the garage.
I agree with you, sort of, Kyle. I'll just say here in Boulder, Colorado, where I live, I see R1Ts every day. I mean, this is the car to have right now here. It's super cool. But I'm one of these people who's kind of a, I don't think everyone needs a pickup. And look, if Kevin wants a pickup, if that's what you want, R1T is great. It's not necessarily a full size pickup, but it's not far off. I mean, you fit a Renault little electric car in your Rivian, so it can definitely do work. But I think, let's say Kevin has a big family, some dogs. I would probably pick the R1S, have that fully closed cab, more room. So I don't, that's kind of a personal decision, but you're right. Mechanically, structurally, these are very similar
Yeah,
vehicles.
the use case of either one is going to be the same. Both vehicles will have pretty much near identical capability for what he's probably going to be doing with it, getting out in the wilderness, coming back in. There are many advantages to R1S over R1T and vice versa, just depending on what you want to do. For example, in-car camping in the winter, R1S is your only option. In the T, it's a very small cabin, so it's hard to lay down in there. That's just one example. But either way, the Rivian, I think this is the point I was really making. The Rivian's a perfect Colorado companion because you get unbelievable air suspension with huge articulation with those disconnecting sway bars. It's actually a hydraulic sway bar. There's no physical disconnect. It's just altering the pressure. So you always get tires on the ground. You get a pretty okay four motor system for wheeling, although I'm really curious to test their new dual motor update that will be launching in just a few weeks. And that might be actually the one to go for off-road. We'll have to play around with it. Too early to tell at the moment. But
That'll be nice because this is an expensive vehicle too, and those dual motor versions I think are going to come in at a little bit of a cheaper price, which is nice as well.
right. And yeah, my issue with the four motor system is just the software to control where the power goes sometimes either leads to excessive wheel spin or just slow response into getting you over obstacles when crawling. If you're kind of bombing through a trail and you can use the momentum of the vehicle, you're totally fine. Either way, on our list, the either Rivian option is going to be, I think, the most suited for adventure, the really long range, and it sort of feels built for the kind of stuff that a Lexus LX would be doing, a Land Cruiser style vehicle. So to
Yep.
me, this feels right. But what else do we have on the list?
I want to get to the next option, but first I want to mention Rivian and the next brand we're talking about don't work like most car companies. So Kevin mentioned he has it on order. With Rivian, you make $1,000 deposit on their site, and they're not actually delivering these until 2024. So let's say you're watching this video around the time it's coming out. Even if you want one, you're probably going to be waiting a bit. So we love this vehicle. I love it. I think I want my mom to get one. She wants to get one. But right now, they're really, the order window, depending on your timing and flexibility, does make it an interesting process. But huge plus is you order it directly from Rivian. You don't have to deal with a dealer.
Well, I would actually totally agree. If you're just going to go through the Rivian process, it's going to take a while. But I think they're building more of these than they're expecting. I think with the weakening of the economy, I think we're starting to see people not actually take delivery in some cases, and we're
Mhm.
seeing R1S owners start to get open to the gear shop. Now, I have an order for an R1S and an R1T Max Pack waiting. My R1S has not been opened up to the gear shop yet, but there it seems like it's happening a bit quicker than what they're saying. Also, you can get used ones. If you just need a vehicle, you can pay up a little bit, get a used one, and a flipper. They're out there. They're on Cars and Bids every week.
Okay, well, maybe that's what I should tell my mom to do. And Kevin, maybe consider that if you want your R1S, R1T now.
Unless he has
But
an
it's
early
cool.
reservation, we don't know when he put it in.
Yeah, who knows? I would say, Kevin, if your reservation's coming up soon and you still like the Rivian, go with that. You can't go wrong. They're great, great trucks. So next up, this is more, less of an, in my opinion, off-roading vehicle, more of a great road tripper, the Model X, a three-row SUV from Tesla.
Right. We're not really sure if he uses his Land Cruiser. So when you send us emails, really give us all the details because the Land Cruiser, a lot of people just go on road miles. They go dirt road miles. They go, nothing hardcore off road. The Model X still has air suspension, still has articulation, probably the least suited for the adventure style driving that he's doing. However, the one thing the Model X has is a ton of cargo space, the best driver assistance in any car and the best charging network of any car. But not even just that, it's the best charging availability. You can use Tesla superchargers, old CHAdeMO stations, and every public CCS charger with one vehicle. So you're sort of plug into whatever plug you find. The Model X can take it and can get you as many places, way more places than any other EV could take you.
Charging is a huge advantage. And I would say if you're ordering a Model X, Tesla makes it so easy with their ecosystem. I would say throw in that wall charger. It'll be easy to install in your house. Get a mobile connector you can throw in the frunk. You're going to be set. You can charge so many places with this. It charges relatively quickly. And yeah, you have access to that great supercharger network. That to me is the killer feature of Tesla. I know for some people it is autopilot and maybe full self-driving, right? The beta is coming out for that. But undeniable that this is just such a great road tripper because it's darn efficient, it gets good range, and the charging network only makes that better.
Totally agree. For his use case, he might only be able to go with Tesla depending on where he wants to travel. If it's a lot of on road options, I would say, and you want to go electric, Model X is probably the best bet for him.
Yeah, if you're staying on the road, cannot go wrong with Model X. Ground clearance, not sure it's suited for Moab, but if you're not doing that, Kevin, Model X is a great one to consider. And then Tesla too, you're going to order directly from them. So similar process there. And I'm pretty sure these looks like if I order one from their site, it's going to deliver within about 2 months or so. So not too bad of a backup with them.
Sure. And one thing you can always do, of course, is check ev-cpo.com for any Tesla related things. They show you countrywide inventory of cars available today. And I'm pretty
Yep.
sure there are in stock Model X's with Tesla, brand new.
Absolutely. The next option is the BMW iX. Kind of like the Tesla Model X, this is a very great on-road option. I'm not sure about great off-road, but air suspension, luxury BMW. I know you like this one a lot, Kyle.
Really like it a lot for putting on miles. I mean, this would actually probably be a better e-tron replacement for him than it would be, an LX replacement. I threw this on here just because we wanted luxury electric SUVs with air suspension, and truly this is great. I don't think this is an option he should really consider, though, mostly because the air suspension isn't that adjustable. There's no off-road driving modes, if I remember correctly, although the one I spent the most time in was the M60 version. So perhaps the 50 will have more off-roading options, as it's not the on-road sporty one. Truly a fantastic electric SUV. I think one of the best on the market today. But for here in Colorado, as a Land Cruiser replacement, probably not the best choice for him.
Yeah, and then totally subjective, but there's appearance to talk about, right? The iX not only is it a BMW, but it's a particularly flashy new design language one. I know I was talking about this car to my mom, and she's like, absolutely no, wouldn't consider it. She hated how it looked. And in Colorado, I don't think this vehicle is going to give you much credit either, like a Rivian would, or a lot of other choices. This just tells me mall crawler, but
It
really
tells
nice mall
me
crawler.
it's like, oh, you just stick to the front range. So
Yeah. In Colorado, yeah, you don't go past I-70 really, which, maybe if you don't, fair enough, but maybe not the best option for Kevin, but something to consider.
But once you get past the styling, truly an amazing on-road vehicle, amazing car, best sound system in the business. Just love everything about it except the styling. I do like the back end.
Yeah, the tail lights look really cool. But
Yes.
yeah, the interior and the technology in it, I think, is really good. And I did like the sound system a lot. Another traditional manufacturer option from Mercedes is the EQS SUV. So this is sort of similar to the iX, but also, I don't know. What are your thoughts on it, Kyle, in terms of being a Colorado car?
Actually more cred than the iX. And the reason I say this is Mercedes chose to launch this vehicle here in Colorado for the global launch of EQS SUV. The reason they did that is their engineers spent a ton of time fine-tuning the motor controls, the powertrain characteristics, and the suspension to handle off-road driving. And I'm not talking about just dirt roads like this. We took this thing on some trails that were pretty aggressive. I had the wheel like 4 feet in the air. I mean, full extension. Also, I thought it was pretty cool. Mercedes put these things on aftermarket sort of beadlock capable wheels with real chunky tires, and it looked incredible going through. So if you watch my EQS SUV review, On out of spec reviews, I have a whole off-roading section. They have all the cameras. This might, I mean, it sounds like on first glance the least capable vehicle you could think of for this. And it certainly isn't going to look like an R1S. It doesn't look like it's built for it. But the capability in this is surprisingly high. There's skid plates underneath the vehicle, and you just throw it on a set of all-terrains and send it. I think that would be so cool because you get huge range, you get pretty good charging, and just unbelievable comfort in this car. This might actually be a silent winner here for a Land Cruiser replacement.
Yeah, it definitely fits the luxury bill. And in my opinion, looks better than the EQS sedan from Mercedes, which is more of a less traditional shape. This to me looks more like SUV, but it is funny. I was surprised watching your out of spec reviews video how capable this is off road because like that piano black grille, all the styling elements of this tell me, man, this thing should not see like a trailhead even, but I guess it can. It'll just get dusty.
That's right. Yeah. And honestly, they had them like all blacked out and they had pinstripes down the side because everyone had just been rubbing them up against trees and stuff. And it was awesome. It was so cool. So surprisingly, a good Colorado car.
Yeah. And kind of like the iX, I think it has a cool taillight design going on too. So if you like that Mercedes styling, that's yet another benefit.
No one buys a car based off of styling. Come on, Max.
No, looks don't matter. Next option, and now we're going to get into upcoming territory for our next two options here. This one is, I know, one you and I both like a lot, the Volvo EX90. It is the electric successor to the Volvo XC90. It's a three-row SUV from our Swedish friends, and I don't know what to tell you, but I think it looks amazing. It's supposed to have pretty decent charging, 300-mile range, all-wheel drive. How do we think it'll do off-road?
Honestly, I don't think this is going to be it. I think this is going to be very much IX category as an on-road cruiser. Volvos have never been hardcore off-roaders. I don't expect that to continue here. Or I should say I do expect that to continue here, excuse me.
Yeah.
But air suspension, dual motor, it just doesn't feel, it's perfect for the front range. It's perfect for doing the ski mountain winter commutes. No issues with that. But if you're doing a Land Cruiser replacement, I don't, and again, this is still years away. This is 2024. So it's not like you can even get one now. All the other vehicles we've spoken about are available today on the market. I wouldn't even make this a consideration for what he's thinking.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. Definitely don't think it'll be capable off-road, but I will say in terms of styling and brand, I think Volvo might have more in common with Lexus than, let's say, BMW or Mercedes. Like, let's say you're like my mom and you think those are too flashy. Volvo, I think, always kind of strikes more of a balance of, okay, I'm like sophisticated, I have good taste in cars, but I'm not showing off. At least that's how I've seen it. And so,
yeah, you're totally right. But then again, it's like the LX has the off-road flash. And so does the Rivian has the off-road flash. You could put Max Tracks on the side of that thing. It would look awesome. Look, I'd love to see someone kit one of these out for full trail driving. There's just better options out there.
Yeah, fair enough. Totally agree. And then next option, last option here, another upcoming vehicle. We think this one, I think, is launching this year, or is it next year?
It's not anytime soon.
We'll find out. Probably not soon, but something to consider. Looks wildly cool. We'll see if the production version actually looks like this. Kia EV9. Sounds like you're not a fan of talking about this, Kyle. Do you think it's too early?
Too early. It's not even a thing. This guy needs to buy a car now. And we don't even know if it'll have air suspension. Kias have never proven with great off-road capability. I mean, even Tellurides are okay, but like that's really the category this is going to go into.
But powertrain, it's not going to have a dual. Like it's going to theoretically, I think it could be a lot better than any of the gas Kias for off-road.
Absolutely. And it better be. That's kind of my point. It's like this thing's got to prove itself to be, useful here and not just driving around Colorado, but going out and doing trails and going camping for the weekend. I'm not so sure this is going to be the choice we'll see people making for that.
Yeah, well, it's certainly got the looks. It's kind of got like a Range Rover, but even more angular, boxy look going on.
Well, that's an interesting point.
Yeah.
That's one we didn't bring up. If we're talking concept cars, I got one that's even closer than a concept car.
Okay.
Which is the new electric Range Rover. What about that?
Let me see if I can pull up the product page. So I know there's a Range Rover plug-in, but there's going to be a full-on EV Range Rover they've announced.
That's right. So I think next year or the year after, and it's, again, not helpful for this guy's buying decision today, but that is luxury, off-road, certainly off-road capable, and works really well. I like the new body Range Rovers. But even better than this one would be the new electric G Class that's coming very close to production. No air suspension, but just actually, it might have air. The G Wagons have never had air suspension because they actually can't handle the abuse that they run through their durability cycles. We spent a whole day with the G Class durability engineers and have a video on Out of Spec Overlanding about it. One of the best things we've ever done. And they throw so much abuse at these vehicles, like nothing you could ever imagine. I mean, literally jumping them at 70 miles an hour, going down a hill. It's insane. And air suspension would just blow out, basically, is what they told us. So I don't know how well this will be really suited for rock crawling, getting up over things. But if you want a tough electric soft rotor to go adventure in, this and R1S are right up there for me.
Yeah, I mean, the gas G-Wagon is a legend, rightfully so. I'm excited about, EQG. I've got to say, I'm not super excited about their like concept product photography. I don't know what these people are wearing in this picture. What Mercedes thinks the future looks like, I don't
You're too
know.
design oriented. It's all about the off-road cred.
Yeah, maybe in Germany and Austria, this is what off-roaders look like, but in Colorado, I can tell you it's not. So
Off-roaders here in Colorado look like every Tacoma driver you've ever seen.
yes, and if you live anywhere in the Southwest region, you've probably seen a ton. But anyhow, I think that's a great kind of overview. I like how we went with the practical stuff that you can just get off right at the bat first. And it seems like the easy answers here are Rivian, if he's got the reservation already. If he doesn't mind sticking with it, there's nothing wrong with that vehicle. And then Model X, if he's not doing so much off-road. Then the other options we explored from traditional automakers have some of their own benefits, but I would argue aren't the technological marvel like of the Rivian or the charging marvel that is the Tesla.
Yeah, I mean, because they'll have things like lucid gravity coming in the next year or two, but that's not been proven with any off-road credibility. And there's a lot of electric, I don't know, crossovers, these little soft-roading SUVs that have an off-road mode that doesn't do anything. Ultimately, here in Colorado, you want something that can go on the trails. So either, I would say one of two options here. You keep the LX or you go Rivian R1S. My suggestion is actually the oddball. If I was him, I would keep the e-tron and go Rivian R1T personally. So that would be my suggestion. What would you go with, Max, if you were in the same situation?
I would go R1S. I think it's boring that we both pick Rivian, but it's just because the product is so good. But I do like your advice. R1, it is a lifestyle choice for you, Kevin. Do you want to pick up? Because maybe you do. And yeah, I think that would be a really cool complement to the e-tron as like a two-car electric garage. But R1S, honestly, like, look, if I could afford one right now, do it all vehicle, I think that would just be so awesome. But you can't go wrong either way. Hopefully this was helpful. And three-row SUVs, hugely important product category, whether or not you're going on or off-road. But yeah, I think we covered some good bases in this episode.
Yep, very good. Can't thank you all enough for watching. Thanks, Max, for having me on. And I guess welcome to February. Starting tomorrow, we'll have a new channel sponsor that'll be coming. Send us your emails with your buying questions. I think we'll have a lot of Ioniq 5 ID4 Model Y questions. And so let us know what you think. But there you go. Just our impressions of all the cars coming out that are sort of somewhat suited for Colorado adventure.
Exactly, and much more to come. So stay tuned to Out of Spec Guide.